What does it mean to be machismo? Professor of Literature Omar Castañeda defines it as, machismo is complex and multifaceted and too often, in Anglo-American interpretations, reduced to self-aggrandizing male bravado that flirts with physical harm to be sexual, like some rutting for the rights to pass on genes. However, in other communities, the term machismo can mean stoicism and bravery. I was lucky enough to interview 3 of my good friends about their experiences with machismo and get a better understanding of how machismo still affects families today in the U.S. These are some of their remarks. Okay. Has your family, or do you know the term machismo and what it means, or how would you define it?
Yeah, so I actually was talking about this the other day with my mom, like literally last weekend, so that's funny. But yeah, machismo is like the whole culture in like Hispanic countries, I guess. I've associated with Mexico, just so, anyways, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But machismo is the whole culture of like men being like very like in power and like, I don't know, like it kind of like it oppresses women, and that like men have to be like, they're the ones that can go out and do work, and like women are like expected just like stay home, have babies, cook, clean, like that's it.
Right.
So yeah.
Definitely.
I would define it as a sort of like male air of superiority and like aggression.
Mm-hmm.
I guess aggression might not be the term, but it's just this bravado that is usually demeaning towards women.
Right.
I think.
Okay. Have you ever talked about the term machismo or have any preconceived notion of it?
I actually have not from my family at least.
Okay.
So if you have like a quick thing to say about like machismo culture, you could use it for a project.
Yeah, I think with machismo culture, there is an expectation put on women that is not reciprocal to men. And that expectation is one of servitude and acceptance. So, for example, in the machismo culture, a woman is expected to serve her husband. A very clear example is the husband walks in from the door at 5 o'clock and the woman has dinner on the table and is expected to serve him a drink. Honey, can you go get me A? And she would go get him whatever he needed. So an idea of servitude, but a woman in the machismo culture could never be expected to say, honey, can you go get all the cereal for the milk and get the children ready for school? So the main difference is like a prevailing attitude of servitude that is not reciprocal. In American culture, men do the dishes. Men get kids onto the school bus. Men will stay home if a kid is sick, especially if mom has a job. In the Latino culture, that's nearly unheard of.
Okay.
So that's the first point. The second point is an area of acceptance for things that are not reciprocal. So, for example, the man can go off and have an affair. The woman doesn't have that right.
In the pre-Columbian era, the term machismo meant someone who was wise, displayed leadership, and worthy of imitation. Before the arrival of the Spanish, the term had nothing to do with gender. It was always a positive term and was used to describe someone who was meant to be an example. Now, when people hear the word machismo, there are hundreds of connotations, most of them negative, that people associate with the term. Over the last decade, hundreds of marches in Mexico have gained support from thousands of people, male and female, to stop violence against women because of machismo. Over 90% of women in Mexico have been subjected to sexual violence, and in a country where 99% of crimes go unsolved, that number could be much lower than estimated. Many families do not even attempt to call the authorities if a crime has been committed because they do not think it will do any good, especially if it involves a female. As of 2010, Latin America and the Caribbean make up 39% of the world's Catholics, and the 2 largest countries with the most number of Catholics are Mexico and Brazil. Catholicism is a religion in which family and marriage are extremely important and may even have some influence on machismo and Latino culture. Would you say your family is very religious, or your family in Mexico is more religious, and do you think that has any effect on machismo?
Yeah, actually, like my family in Mexico is like they're pretty religious. Like especially my grandpa over there. Like it's like he has to go to church every Sunday or he like explode.
Yeah.
And then my family in Michigan, they're still pretty religious. They're just not as like vocal about it, I guess. And I honestly actually would say that, yeah, I think that probably plays a role in it, because the Bible is so like even though it's just like the story of creation, like it's like all the blame, even that, like even religion their religion favors males, so like that's kind of indoctrinating it a little bit even like deeper.
Right.
I think actually all my family's like pretty heavily Catholic, like both sides, dad and mom.
Okay. Would you say that has had an effect on machismo or expectations for male or females?
I honestly couldn't say. I've only ever like experienced the religion from being around the women. I don't think a given family member is more or less like overtly religious than another.
Okay.
I know, like, personally, my mom has throughout the years like highly discouraged divorce as like a concept. She just like understands that it happens and why it happens, but it's been pretty like frowned upon in my family. One of my aunts had like pretty bad marital problems for a while, and they were like considering a divorce, and it was like the whole family was coming out in force, like, do not do this, like you're gonna, things will get better, we're gonna work through this, you're gonna make it better. And it did. Like, they eventually figured out how to live as a couple. So it's not like a go-to option. Although one of the males on the Hispanic side of the family did recently, it was like 7 years ago, get a divorce, and that's like a hot button issue. Like at the dinner table, like, not that he got one, but like the aftermath and who's
like
doing
scandal of it.
Yeah, the scandal of it. But he's doing much better with his new wife. So that's
yeah, that's good. Is your family very religious, or your extended family, are they religious at all?
The majority of them, no. There are like a few of them, like in my family, they're actually Jehovah's Witnesses. The ones that live in California, they're Jehovah's Witnesses, and with them too, it's actually my tia. She married my tío, which he's married into the family and everything. Which with them too, like through like with their religion, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, I definitely have like seen. I don't want to say. I guess they have kind of changed as far as like their, like how they like dress, how they act with each other, or like with our family and everything. Which it's kind of like, I feel like it's more through the religion, not necessarily through like our family and everything pressuring them. Just because like, with my tia, she always wears like dresses down to her ankles and stuff like that.
Traditionally, in machismo culture, the man is the one who makes the final decisions, the one who supports the family financially, and the one who protects the family, while the woman takes care of the children, cleans around the house, and talks with other women. I asked my friends if they had similar experiences. What about as far as like jobs that a married couple might have? Like, would you say it's definitely that the male is usually the one who is in charge of like income and taking care of the family per se, while the wife is like stay-at-home mom, raise the kids, do the dishes, kind of thing?
I think that's definitely pretty true. That's true for all of my family members. As the generations have passed, it's lessened out. Like my aunt, she's a doctor and her husband's a firefighter, and she's pretty easily the breadwinner. But for my grandma has 3 sisters. I don't think any of their husbands are alive at this point. But from what I can remember, all the husbands were the breadwinners. And there was a pretty traditional like familial role, like they raised the kids at home.
Have you ever felt that you were personally directly affected by it, or have you ever felt like you're in a situation where you were expected to act one way and you did another, or you did act that way? Yeah, like when we go to Mexico for Christmas, like the girls are the only ones who cook, and like the guys literally do nothing. Like they're not even busy. They're just like sleeping or like talking or watching TV. So all the ladies in the house, like literally all my cousins and all my aunts, like get together and like we cook the meal, and then like we all set the table, we all like get the food out to the table and whatever, and then at the end, like we're still the people who pick all of it up, and like it's just normal that the guys like sit around and don't really help, and like it's really rude. Right. Anything that maybe someone in your family felt pressured by, or because of machismo?
As far as that, for like my mom, like it's on my mom's side and everything that lives out there, for them, not really, just because like well, not just because, but as far as like when I go out there and I visit them, I see how like they interact with each other. Just because like I don't get to see them all the time, like I'm essentially like kind of getting to know them every time not every time I see them, but when I see them. So it's like I see like with them, it doesn't really happen honestly, not with my family at least. Which it's there's more. I feel like it's because like a lot of that family is like a bunch of them are women and like there's fewer men, so it's kind of like they're almost like overpowered.
Right.
I guess you could say that. And the men are like they're always like go with the flow. They're not really strict about like especially roles like that and everything. So they just kind of like do what needs to be done and like everybody will be fine and yeah.
So what does it mean to be machismo? What does it mean to be a man? Obviously, there are different interpretations of what constitutes being a man, especially in Latino culture versus American culture. But how can we erase these stereotypes and tear down the boxes that we so often put ourselves in? It's up to us to begin instilling equal confidence and responsibility in both males and females, regardless of preferred gender. Everyone is equal and should always feel equal, and it is up to those of us that have the privilege of not worrying about equality to fix it.